Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Mr. Speaker, Mr. President Pro Tem, Lieutenant Governor Matt Pinnell, members of my cabinet, Madam Chief Justice, members of the 57th Legislature, tribal leaders, to my best friend, the First Lady, Sarah Stitt, my children, who should be in school right now, to my parents, my brothers, and most importantly, my fellow Oklahomans. It is a great honor to stand before you today, and I want to thank my Heavenly Father for allowing me to be in this position of service to Oklahoma. Let me get right to the point. The state of our state is growing in strength, stability, and new opportunity for generations to come. We are moving in the right direction, the direction we all want to go, top 10 in the nation. And we are getting there because of the hard work of Oklahoma's entrepreneurs, because of the dedication of teachers in the classroom, because of the generous givers and compassion from Oklahoma's nonprofits, and because of the community involvement of churches, and because of those in this room and across our state agencies who are making the tough, selfless decisions for the future of our great state. I want to take a moment to highlight a few of those individuals who are my special guests in the chamber today. First Lieutenant E.J. Johnson, Technical Sergeant Rebecca Mwali, and Staff Sergeant Joy Mahan. These proud guardsmen represent the hundreds of Oklahoma's finest called to duty during the record flood in this state in this past May. And under the leadership of Major General Michael Thompson, they walked levees, filled sandbags, performed rescues, conducted countless other tasks day after day. Engineers in the Oklahoma National Guard also partnered with ODOT to build a temporary road that provided evacuees and Braggs a way out of their flooded community. Let's give them a round of applause. In addition to their duties within the state, the Oklahoma National Guard is fulfilling their federal mission. More than 400 Oklahoma Guardsmen are currently fighting overseas on behalf of our state and nation. I ask that every Oklahoman please keep these brave men and women in your thoughts and prayers. Also in the chamber with us today is Dr. Tomas, the University of Oklahoma's new head of research. I am committed to partnering with our state institutions in recruiting the best talent in the nation to Oklahoma. We will compete and we will win. This past year, the University of Oklahoma not only won its 13th Big 12 football championship, it also won the talent of one of the best researchers in the nation. Dr. Tomas is an internationally renowned researcher who is bringing his impressive background at Purdue University and with companies such as Deloitte to play a key role in identifying innovative opportunities that will elevate OU's research reputation to top 10 in the country. Thank you for choosing the best state in the nation to move to and make an impact. Today, we also recognize an Oklahoma son from Tuttle, CEO of Paycom, Chad Richardson. Chad founded his company Paycom right here in Oklahoma City in 1998. And through his vision and leadership, Paycom now serves as one of the largest employers in our great state. Just this past month, Chad hit an incredible milestone when Paycom was added to the S&P 500 list. Thank you, Chad, for reminding us that the American dream is alive and Oklahoma is the best place in the nation to accomplish it. We all know that Oklahoma's economy, and quite frankly, our state budget, is built on the backs of the hardworking men and women in the oil and natural gas industry. When I delivered this address last year, 60% more drilling rigs were operating in Oklahoma than exist today. Our first budget together was blessed by a thriving industry. Now we must look at the realities of a changing and evolving market that is becoming more efficient and less influenced by international volatility. As a result, our state's general revenue fund is estimated to be down almost 1% versus fiscal year 2020. And our total spending authority is very close to the same amount. But we have nothing to fear. We will remain vigilant in recognizing our needs, planning for our future, and shedding waste where operations are outdated and redundant. In fact, the greatest challenge before us today is not Oklahoma's economy. There are two reasons why. First, the fiscal discipline displayed by many of you in this room last year has allowed the state to garner its largest savings account in Oklahoma history with $1 billion. As a result, Moody's Investor Service changed Oklahoma's outlook from stable to positive in October. Their decision reflects an expectation that Oklahoma will maintain strong fiscal management and a commitment to increasing reserves. Let's follow through on that commitment. Senator Joe Newhouse has filed legislation that would give Oklahomans a voice this year on increasing the constitutional cap on our state's rainy day fund to 30%. Let's get it to a vote of the people. And while we wait on this vote, I'm also asking for the elected leaders to join me again in setting aside $100 million in additional funds as part of the fiscal year 2021 budget. Thanks to our strong pension plans, low bond debt, and progress in savings, Oklahoma is ranked as the 5th most solvent state in America. Let's take this to number 1. By saving in good times, we are demonstrating our commitment to protect the taxpayer, the job creator, and the citizen who depends on core services. Second, Oklahoma's economy is more diverse than ever before. When the city of El Reno faced the closure of a major facility, Oklahoma's Department of Commerce quickly went into action. We deployed 2 career fairs. More than 350 Oklahomans were offered employment in companies in aerospace, finance, manufacturing, healthcare, and more. This was possible because Oklahoma's economy remains on good footing. Our unemployment rate remains below the national average. Oklahoma's household income has risen by nearly 4% in 2019. And 60 companies moved to our state or made significant expansions in Oklahoma this past year alone, with more than $2.9 billion in new capital investments announced. One of the strongest industries this year was tourism, led by the vision of our very own Lieutenant Governor, Matt Pinnell. Imagine that. In 2019, Oklahoma's tourism website achieved a #1 ranking in web traffic, beating out states like Colorado and California. And tourism will continue to grow. This year, we are welcoming the largest movie production in state history with Killers of the Flower Moon. You gave us the tools last year to bolster our recruiting efforts, and the Lieutenant Governor was an exceptional partner in landing this deal for Oklahoma, once again beating out states like Texas and New Mexico. The film's production's presence is expected to inject tens of millions into our economy. Thousands of Oklahomans will be hired as local talent through contracting for lodging, transportation, hardware, food, and more. Oklahomans, our economy is competitive, and in this administration, we will keep it that way. The greatest challenge before us today is instead government bureaucracy. In my first year of public service and as the chief executive, I have found government too big and too broken. The state of Oklahoma spends roughly $20 billion annually. The legislature has a strong handle on the 40% managed through the appropriations process. Then we, working together, provide oversight of the 60% that goes directly to the state agencies from apportionments, fines, fees, or federal funding. Last year, we delivered the greatest transparency to the state's budget by publishing Oklahoma's checkbook online. With the new system, we are providing user-friendly access to recent spending data. In partnership with my office and Oklahoma Treasurer Randy McDaniel, we took Oklahoma's 47th ranking to 7th place in online budget transparency. And we will continue to fine-tune how citizens interact with it in order to compete for first place. Most importantly, the legislature delivered the strongest accountability in state history when you sent to my desk legislation to reform 5 of the state's largest agencies. This action strengthened our budget oversight. Time and time again, state agencies would ask you for more money as the solution. But I'm here to tell you it's not all about funding. It's about focus. It's about leadership. Your reforms have allowed me to go recruit the best talent, to break down silos between agencies, and to deliver the legislature with budgets that are more results-oriented. When good policy meets the right leadership, anything is possible. Just look at what transpired in 2019 between 2 key agencies. When I came into office, I was told that a change in our prison system wasn't possible without an immediate ejection of $1 billion. I was told that the Pardon and Parole Board could not take on an increase in caseload without more employees and more funding. I was told that it was logistically impossible to accomplish a large commutation docket to give low-level nonviolent offenders a second chance. What did we do? You passed better policy. We changed leadership in both agencies. And as a result, Pardon and Parole consolidated its investigators with Department of Corrections. This streamlined the casework, all while increasing it by 118% over 2018. And they did this without a single dollar more. The Department of Corrections launched its first ever reentry fairs across 28 facilities for individuals that were part of House Bill 1269 commutation docket. The idea first was from the First Lady, and it now will become a permanent practice at the agency moving forward. The number of Oklahomans in our state prisons declined by 7.6% from 2018. As a result, the number of those incarcerated is at its lowest level since 2009. This is reducing the strain on our prison facilities and giving us the opportunity to reimagine the future of housing inmates. And in conjunction with the Department of Corrections, they withdrew its year after year request for more than $1 billion in additional funding and instead submitted a fiscal year 2021 request that addressed the critical needs of tomorrow. It is now time to complete this successful consolidation effort. I'm calling for the legislature to protect the constitutional mandate for Pardon and Parole Board appointees, yet pass legislation that absorbs the remainder of the operations with corrections. Collaboration is already taking place thanks to the leadership of Director Scott Crow and Director Steve Bickley. It is time we make this official in law to prevent future bureaucracies from creeping back in. When government is working and is unified under one vision, we can change the lives of Oklahomans for the better. Here in this chamber with us today is Tara. Tara is a mother of 4 children who was serving a 10-year sentence due to a relapse with a drug addiction. Prior to her release, Tara met with Chris Linder from Center for Employment Opportunities at the Transition Fair. When she was commuted under the House Bill 1269 docket, Tara was immediately connected with sober housing at Exodus. She began working at a temporary job for CEO, and within a month of release was hired for a full-time position by a local Tulsa company where she is finding stability and opportunity again. Tara, we believe in you. The state and our community partners want to help you keep a tight hold of the hope and future you and your family deserve. Thank you for being here today. Friends, consolidation must not stop there. Secretary Tim Gatz has done an exceptional job leading both the Oklahoma Department of Transportation and the Oklahoma Turnpike Authority. Secretary Gatz is beginning the process of combining all back office and common functions into one shared service entity. We will maintain separate general management for unique functions while streamlining operations that are duplicative in nature so we can deliver the highest quality of transportation possible. We will operate with one unified vision for infrastructure as we continue to move towards top 10 status. Thank you, Secretary Gatz, for your leadership. When Oklahoma is in crisis, it is most often our Office of Emergency Management that is at the center of restoring us back to normal. OEM has the ability to call upon whatever resource it needs to help Oklahoma's communities prevent, respond, or recover from a major crisis. Homeland Security is a key part of that effort, providing valuable coordination to support our first responders. By merging these two agencies, we will bolster response capabilities, streamline coordination, and leverage existing resources for stronger prevention programs. And as we prepare to recognize the 25th anniversary of the Oklahoma City bombing in April, we must continue to set the standard for our nation and how to respond to and manage crisis when tested by tragedy. Oklahomans deserve it, and this merger will help us achieve that goal. Thank you to OEM Director Mark Gower and Homeland Security Director Kim Carter, who are committed to working with this legislature to get this done right. Some will cry that consolidation is disruptive, and let me be clear, it will be for political insiders and those that find comfort in big bureaucracy. But it is what we need to do to improve decision-making, deliver better accountability, and target dollars directly towards helping our citizens instead of paying for administrative bloat. Oklahoma has the 20th highest landmass among states, the 28th largest population, and yet we have the 9th most state agencies out of all 50 states. This is unacceptable. There is no value to having more agencies than other states. It has not solved our bottom 10 rankings in critical categories. As we reduce bureaucracy, we must also provide necessary relief and enhanced opportunities for our dedicated public employees. President Pro Tem Greg Treat and Representative Mike Osborne have already filed legislation to begin the conversation again on civil service reform. It's time to get this done in 2020. The state's current civil service program is broken. High-quality employees are forced into a system that doesn't maximize their professional growth and potential. Agency leaders have their hands tied in who they can hire and promote due to outdated restrictions. Today, I am calling for reform that requires all new hires in state government moving forward to be unclassified. I am requesting language that allows agency directors discretion to offer bonuses within the confines of their budgets for employees to receive promotion out of the restricted classified positions. Through this attrition model, I am casting a vision for the majority of the state's workforce to be unclassified in the next 5 years. As part of civil service reform, I am calling for a 3-person panel in the Human Capital Management Department to maintain whistleblower protections and to provide due process to state employees who have serious grievances, whether these employees are classified or not. Let's make the state's largest employer a place where we can hire the best, where we reward good performers, and where we are building a training ground for an exceptional workforce that can transition beyond public service if they so choose. With a long-term focus on agency reform, we will lay a new, stronger foundation for the state of Oklahoma. Any policy that the legislature sends to my desk to further this effort will be signed. This is how we will actually get the tax dollar directly back to the citizen through better services. One of the most significant areas where we need reform is health care. I just returned from Washington, D.C., where I stood with the Trump administration to announce that the state of Oklahoma will be pursuing new flexibilities through the Healthy Adult Opportunity. With these new flexibilities, Oklahoma will begin the process in the coming weeks to roll out Sooner Care 2.0. Under this reformed Medicaid program, we will seek to close the gap of those uninsured in Oklahoma. We will deliver much-needed accountability in the Medicaid system to focus on rewarding health outcomes and stronger performances in care. With HAO flexibility, we will deliver personal responsibility to new enrollees under Sooner Care 2.0. We will seek to establish moderate premiums and work requirements. We will encourage able-bodied adults to transition towards a path of maintaining private insurance and pursuing educational or employment opportunities that advances their full personal potential. With HAO flexibility, we will seek to establish programs that enhance accessibility of health care in rural Oklahoma. And we will seek to expand targeted treatment for opioid addiction and substance abuse. But I cannot do this without you. Oklahoma is currently positioned to be the first in the nation to be granted the Trump administration's waiver to achieve unprecedented flexibility and accountability in delivering Medicaid to adults. No one who is currently eligible will lose coverage. Actually, more than 180,000 Oklahomans would gain coverage under Sooner Care 2.0. State Auditor Cindy Byrd is in the middle of auditing our Medicaid rolls, a request I filed last year. Her auditors expect to be done this spring, which will allow us to address abuse in the system and ensure that the reformed Sooner Care 2.0 will truly help those who need it the most. But Washington needs to see the support from the Oklahoma State Legislature to feel confident that this plan is on solid financial footing. Today I call on the House and the Senate to send to my desk legislation to give certainty that the Oklahoma Healthcare Authority can use the full 4% of the SHOP assessment to fund Sooner Care 2.0, while protecting reimbursements. We must also reform TSET. Let's protect the corpus, yet reallocate funds towards improving the delivery of rural health care. Help me keep Oklahoma #1 in competing for this new opportunity through the Trump administration. Any effort to enact a clean expansion of Medicaid to include putting it in the state's constitution will create significant restrictions. With straight Medicaid expansion, Oklahoma will be left with the same ineffective and unaccountable programs that has failed to bring us out of the bottom 10 rankings. The time is now to innovate, to focus on outcomes, and to make Oklahoma a national leader in delivering of health care. To make this sustainable, we must also move forward on significant reforms in the operations of our state health and human service agencies. Did you know that Oklahoma has 10 different state agencies passing money through the Medicaid program in Oklahoma, and 18 state entities that license healthcare facilities and providers? You cannot convince me that operating that many bureaucracies is an efficient way of doing business. It has to change. This is why I'm calling for the legislature to begin the process of creating one central healthcare agency. Let's partner together to fully integrate by the year 2022 the functions of the State Department of Health, the Oklahoma Healthcare Authority, the Department of Mental Health, and others, as well as all of the state's licensing boards that deal with health. In addition, Oklahoma can no longer afford to be so far behind other states with regard to using and protecting health data. Within the next couple months, we will select a vendor to establish a statewide health information exchange. This effort has been a long time in the making, and with the right leadership in place, more progress has been made in 10 months than in the last 10 years. I want to thank OHCA Director Kevin Corbett and Secretary Jerome Lockridge for your wonderful leadership. A functional HIE will protect Oklahoma's health records while ensuring these records are portable and accessible at all times. And I appreciate Senator Greg McCourtney's legislation that will enhance and protect the hard work underway in our agencies. And this is just the beginning of health reform in Oklahoma. Many of you in the legislature are spearheading legislation that will help to create a better healthcare system across the board, to include legislation that will create pricing transparency for medical bills, and Representative Marcus McIntyre's legislation to put an end to surprise billing practices. Thank you. Let's continue to work together and push the envelope on improving health care delivery for all 4 million Oklahomans. In this administration, we will continue to focus on becoming top 10 in education. It is why the legislature put more funding into the funding formula this school year, bringing the total taxpayer investment in common education to more than $9.7 billion, the largest in state history. We will protect it, but we must also reform it by taking a hard look at our state's funding formula. We should allow voters to unlock more local dollars. With reform, we must also address any mechanisms that are preventing tax dollars from getting directly to today's classroom. The path to Oklahoma's future prosperity will be achieved by promoting the profession of teaching and focusing on students' advancements and opportunities. This is why the legislature rallied last year to give our teachers a second year of much-deserved pay raises. I'm glad to report that not only did districts give pay raises of at least $1,220, but some went beyond, like Owasso Public Schools, where now a first-year teacher can expect a starting salary of $42,000. It is why this legislature continues to build a competitive and solvent teacher retirement system by investing more than $300 million annually above the $750 million that taxpayers support through employer contributions. Our dedication will continue so that teachers know that when they retire, their pensions will be fully funded. But more state revenue is not the answer alone. We must also continue to recruit the best teachers and confront our teacher shortage. I support legislation that would direct the State Department of Education to issue a teaching certificate to anyone who holds a valid out-of-state teaching certificate with no other requirements except a criminal history check. This year, we must also get across the finish line proven solutions to enhance learning opportunities for students. Now is the time to raise the cap on the Oklahoma Equal Opportunity Education Scholarship to $30 million. To allow Oklahomans to be rewarded for investing their funds directly to our students and schools. In the chamber, as my guests, are Miss Allegra Williams and her 6th and 8th grade sons, Chavis and Sincere. Miss Williams' sons were struggling in school, making all C's and D's, until she had the opportunity to enroll them in Crossover Preparatory Academy, a private all-boys school in North Tulsa. Crossover Preps was started as a key initiative to restore their community through education for young men. Crossover Prep is a tuition-free school because they believe that a child's access to a quality education shouldn't be dependent on their parents' ability to afford it. In the boys' first semester at Crossover, Chavis jumped 3 reading grade levels, and Sincere jumped 2.5 reading levels. Chavis and Sincere, will you stand? And will everyone join me and their mom? Chavis and Sincere were able to get the help they needed because of the Oklahoma Equal Opportunity Education Scholarship Act. Increasing the tax credit cap will provide additional incentives for donors, resulting in more public school grants and private school scholarships. Thank you to Senator Dave Rader and Representative John Eccles for leading the charge. Let's work together to make sure all students at all schools have access to an innovative, enriching curriculum, regardless of zip code. Because we believe in all students and helping them succeed, I'm also launching a program this year called Jobs for America's Graduates. JAG is a state-based national nonprofit organization dedicated to preventing dropouts among young people who have serious barriers to graduation and employment. In more than 3 decades of operation, JAG has delivered consistent, compelling results, helping more than 1 million young people stay in school through graduation, pursue post-secondary education, and secure high-quality entry-level jobs leading to career advancement and opportunities. While we were on this topic of education, let me take a brief moment to address one critical matter. In 2019, 1% of the Common Education funding came from the state's exclusivity fees on Class III games on tribal casinos. These dollars, which are first deposited to the Oklahoma Education Reform Revolving Fund, equal roughly $130 million. compared to public education's total funding of $9.7 billion. The model gaming compacts have been a success, greater than anyone predicted. Unfortunately, we have an expired model gaming compact, a compact in which notable tribes have previously called dated and unsuitable for current and future business. After 5 offers from the state for all stakeholders to come together to modernize the model gaming compact, 3 tribes instead sued the state on New Year's Eve. While we wait for the federal court's decision, I'm calling for the legislature to join me in protecting public education. I'm asking for the legislation that will allow the remaining cash balance from 2019 and funds from the Revenue Stabilization Funds to be leveraged, if needed, to compensate for any temporary pause in Class 3 gaming fees. As governor, I remain supportive of the sovereignty of the state of Oklahoma and our right and your duty as the legislature to oversee all industries operating in the state. I also remain confident the state and Oklahoma's tribes can hammer out a compromise that is a win-win for all 4 million Oklahomans. And we can accomplish this without putting public education in the crosshairs. As I said last year, and it bears repeating, we need more taxpayers, not more taxes. Everything we do has a dotted line back to growing our economy. It is why my budget calls for the funding of the closing fund by another $3 million, as well as a $200 million financing plan, with a majority prioritized towards rural roads and high-volume interchanges. Oklahoma has moved from 49th to 13th in bridge conditions within 15 years. And while we work towards top 10 in this critical category, we're going to start moving the needle on our rankings of Super 2 roads and pavement quality. Oklahoma is the crossroads of America, and our roads are key to attracting future job creators, whether it is to Altus, Enid, Broken Bow, or in the heart of Tulsa. Today, I'm also filling an executive order to address Oklahoma's excessive red tape. Oklahoma's administrative code is double the size of the state of Kansas and 20% more than Missouri and New Mexico. My executive order will call for the first ever comprehensive review of the state's administrative code and will instruct state agencies to remove 2 regulations for every new one created. The intent is to reduce the red tape by 25% in the next 3 years, providing relief to Oklahoma's job creators and farmers and ranchers, while also strengthening our recruitment efforts to diversify and grow Oklahoma's economy. We must also continue our progress on occupational licensing reform. Speaker Charles McCall and Senator Adam Pugh made it a priority last year to reduce barriers to work for military families. And Senator Julie Daniels and Representative Zach Taylor passed meaningful second chance legislation to expand occupational licensing opportunities for those who have previously encountered the justice system. This year, let's get universal licensing recognition across the finish line too. We can continue to make progress on economic prosperity when we remove unnecessary and antiquated and outdated barriers to entry. Ladies and gentlemen, Oklahoma is competing. Oklahoma is winning. Oklahoma is undergoing the turnaround that voters demanded. It may not be comfortable at times. It demands hard decisions and boldness. It requires long-term planning and a commitment to one vision. but we are making inroads that will last for generations, that will make us stronger, more prosperous, top 10. There is no place I would rather be than Oklahoma. And there is no better team than the ones elected in this room. There's no better time in our state's history than now. Let's do this together. Let's make it happen. God bless you, and God bless the great state of Oklahoma.